And thank you, Selfmade, for joining me. Three games, and we can see the improvements after each and every one of them. So how did you prep to be ready today against Schalke 04?
Well, we didn't really prepare anything specific. The thing that we wanted to do is obviously come bot lane, which we did. And game was pretty much over after like 5 minutes. So, yeah.
I mean, being the newest member of the team, I feel like you already have a strong voice within Fnatic, because when we look at the early action that happened, what you planned around the map and how you set up your team to get an advantage, yeah, you already have a strong voice. And I know it's expected as a jungler, but tell me about the first weeks with Fnatic and bonding with this new family.
Well, obviously the first weeks with new team is something that you can't really predict how it will go, because like you meet everybody for the first time. It's like the honeymoon phase, right? But it feels like I'm somebody that actually Fnatic needed, not only as a player, but as a person also. And yeah, I think this will be a good year for us.
I'm glad that you mentioned the honeymoon phase, because that's one thing that most of teams experience in the beginning. So how do you maintain this honeymoon phase?
As I said, I think I'm just somebody that Fnatic needed as a person, and we just have a really good mood. It's like we are like family right now, so no matter if like it's going well or bad, we support each other. Even like after the game we played versus Origin, everything was nice. What else can I say?
Well, I mean, everything is rolling as it seems, but I want to know a bit more about you. You were one of the best rookies last split, and last year. So when Fnatic reached out to you, how did you react? Tell me about this.
Well, obviously my goal as a player is to become the best and win Worlds, and I think Fnatic was a team that actually has the highest chances for it. So I went in instantly.
And we often hear that wearing the Fnatic handle can be stressful as a player. Do you agree?
Well, obviously there is some pressure, especially after replacing such a great player like Broxa. But I think if I perform well, people will like respect me as a new jungler of Fnatic, and it will go.
Yeah, and you've been performing really well so far. I mean, I was talking to Reckless last week about you. I won't tell you what he said because I want to have your view on it, but what makes you the perfect fit for Fnatic?
What makes me the perfect fit for Fnatic?
Why are you the best jungler for Fnatic?
Honestly, I don't know how to answer this question. It just feels like it, and it's going well. Like, we work together very well. Scrims are going nice, and yeah.
Well, from the other side then, what do you think you can learn from them? They're all experienced players, it's an experienced org as a whole, so what do you expect from them?
Well, the thing that I learned from them is dedication. Like, they're veterans, like all of them, and they still love the game just as much as I do, which is something that you don't expect after playing the game for many, many years. And yeah, I think they actually needed like a new face, some rookies, so that can change the team atmosphere completely, like make it colorful, let's say. And yeah, don't know what to say exactly.
You're very humble and I really love it. And you know what? You're player of the game here. Did you expect it?
I mean, when we logged in Gragas, I thought there would be some chances for that, right? Because the champion is completely busted. But yeah, I just did my job, and I guess I got MVP.
All right, well, you just did your job and you did it amazingly. Last question here. You are the first player to experience Mithi as a coach, and we know that he used to be a player before that. I mean, even last year he was playing with Origin. So how is it working with Mithi, and do you see any differences with him as a coach, given that he used to be a player? Does he have a different approach as coaching?
Well, from what I know, even back in the time when he was a player, he was already kind of like a coach, like side coach for every team he worked for. So he has a lot of experience already. And I think he's a really great person, so I can't say anything bad about him.
Everything rolling then. Thank you very much, Selfmade, for the interview. Congrats on the win once again. And to wrap up this day, let's send it over to Shox for PGL. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Laure and Selfmade, and welcome to the LEC Post Game Lobby. I'm Shox, joined by VODS, and in just a little bit by the boss himself, Bwipo, as well. Very insightful and fun interview from Selfmade, who is feeling like a fish out of water in that Fnatic lineup, adjusting very, very well as he flies in. Hello, Bwipo.
Hi.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That was quite convincing. Laure was just talking to Selfmade. How do you think he's fitting in?
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
I've been pleasantly surprised so far.
Does that mean you were not expecting it to go as well?
honestly, before Selfmade came into the team, there were a few question marks. I think everybody had an idea of like what he was like, his mentality is like, and everyone had like prejudices. But after meeting him and playing with him, and so far working together with him, like none of that has been true.
I think that's awesome that you admit that.
It's you know, like I had my question marks, and I told the management, and like it might be a risk. I'm not sure, but he's passed with flying colors.
He's passed with flying colors.
He's absolutely fitting in, and I think his mentality is a very great addition to the team. I think that so far it's been going really well. Honestly, I don't think we've been able to show how good we are, especially thanks to that Origin performance, unfortunately for us.
So even in that game, I felt like you guys did a lot of things very well. At least the ideas were good, whereas like, you know, like you missed that one kill on Gangplank top lane, which could have swung the matchup way more in your favor. But like, there were so many little things that I think if they had just gone slightly differently, that could have been a very different game. So,
I mean, like, I feel like that game, and, you know, it's coming from me, so... Just Wayne, huh? No, but that game, as soon as we, like, saw the draft, we were like... you know, like, in the game, of course, no one mentions it, and everyone's focused on winning, but after the game, we were like, okay, it was too hard.
Yeah.
Reckless as Aphelios, he could, like, after the game, he's like, I don't think I hit a champion because the champions have too much range. It was too difficult for me to play. And we realized that our draft was definitely not optimal into OG. And I think that right now they're looking like a very strong team because they're drafting these type of team compositions that are very, like, their draft is very solid.
They're great at drafting.
And then they just choke you out by doing nothing, which is honestly not a bad strategy, right? Like, they reach a point where you literally just can't win anymore.
Yeah.
So some teams might say, yeah, they're not doing enough, but they're making sure that they win the game by like 99.9999, and they keep farming that extra 9% to make sure that they win that game.
That's what's also the beauty of OG. I think their drafting is impeccable most of the time. There we go, and they're undefeated so far, of course. Let's talk about this game a little bit. As you said, like the Misfits game was the third fastest one in LEC history. This one was super fast as well. Why did it snowball out of control so fast? Was it just tilt them bot lane? Was that the strat?
I guess it was a bit of jungle support gap and ganking the farming. We were just ganking bot, really. As soon as we got the kills and Hilly didn't burn his flash on the first set of ganks, we knew that there was opportunity for a second set, and then Forgiven didn't respect the repeat gank coming in from Selfmade. So we got the kill on the Braum, came back around for the Senna, and then from there on the snowball was pretty substantial. Like, it was too difficult for them from bottom side, and all my job was is drop 10 CS and just don't die, and the game is good. So I didn't int, so the game was good.
Yeah, talk to me about the laning phase you had versus the Aatrox. We saw earlier today that there is a possibility of it being counterplay if you play versus Aatrox. So how do you see it? How do you see it?
Sett is advantaged, for sure. I think Aatrox is one of the lanes where, for sure, there's opportunity. Again, Sett's W Haymaker has a very long cooldown, which means that if you use it for wave clear, there's opportunity to go all in on him. And this was the problem. Finn felt pressured to push out the wave, uses Haymaker to push, and Alfari capitalized by going all in immediately, because the cooldown early game is about 12 seconds around level 5. I believe it starts at like 18. Per rank goes down 2, so it's like a 14 to 12 second cooldown. So if you go all in, you're gonna run out. Like, you're not gonna have it, and it's not that strong at that point in the game, especially early on, that it just turns around the fight immediately, right? It's a very strong ability, but it has a high cooldown, so playing around that is very important when you play against Sett.
Do you also think the first pick was a mistake? You guys, of course, waited a bit to pick it here.
I personally think that there's plenty of champions that are answerable into him, at least 5-5 matchups. You can just play the game against him and then have him do his thing, and you do your thing. And I think that's something that definitely holds him back from being an oppressive first pickable champion in that sense.
Yeah, I think we've got a pretty balanced opinion so far of Sett today, or is that only because Finn misplayed in the first game?
Well, I think that the moral of the story is don't first pick Sett, and I think that Whippo showcased like we also saw it in another draft.
We did, but I can't forget right now.
Misfits played it?
It was Misfits, yeah. But like, if you save it for later in the draft, you can look at what the enemy team has got. Like, I think there are windows where like Ender talks a lot about crowd control, range, you know, like your ability to disengage from the Sett. And I think that what we saw from the comp that you played against was that Braum was probably the most obnoxious thing for you to have to deal with. But even then, if you're in range of Braum, you can then use him to then get closer to your opposition, right? So like, I think that it's like comp dependent, but it does feel to me like his numbers are a little higher than they should be,
Right.
which is why he feels like quite a strong top laner. Right?
I feel like his laning phase is just very oppressive. Like in this, it's oppressive in a way where you can't break him.
Yeah.
So as a champion, he's like he's been a bit like Gangplank in the sense of like at some point he'll do what he wants to do.
Right.
Now Gangplank obviously does a lot of things, and Sett doesn't do that much really, which is why it's not that insane of a pick. He does his job very well. He creates a lot of pressure, and I think that if you don't have high DPS champions that can burst, like that can.
Right.
Focus fire him down before he keeps throwing out haymakers, because that's his main ability. This is the overpowered part of his kit in the sense of it has the most impact. I don't think it's his best ability, but it's balanced, right? You have a lot of counterplay around it, but still, it's a very strong ability, big shield, a lot of damage. You gotta dodge it. So a composition that forces you to use your haymaker early, and then you don't get to use another one, and then you just get bursted down, and you feel a bit useless.
Yeah.
But against like a Senna LeBlanc, they throw all their burst at me, I throw a punch back, and mine hits harder.
That is so, I do want to let you look at a couple of plays. There's one specifically where you were kind of ambushed 1 versus 3 in the bottom lane. I think you'll be able to see it behind you over there.
in front of me.
That's
In
front of me,
pretty small.
beautiful.
Can you see it? And how are you able to withstand the double attack here?
Well, I just right-clicked on him. I just punched him, and like I said, I just punched harder. Like, so what you saw there is at this point, my haymaker has a much lower cooldown, which means that I can actually use it at the start of the fight, and then near the end of it, I can use it to survive. Like, I can use it to finish off the fight.
So talk us through, like, when you get to these late game fights, in this situation, like, you'd already secured the Baron, right? But
Yeah.
your eyes actually went straight onto Senna, and you just dragged her out of the
Sorry.
fight immediately. So when you get to these late game fights with Sett, what is your goal?
Being disruptive is for sure the main priority, and then making sure you set yourself up for a huge haymaker, right? Like, you want to get that huge true damage, especially with W flash. There's almost no counterplay if you time it right. You can W flash, which means that like in a late, super late game team fight, you've got the Cho'Gath effect, where you buy stone plate, everyone's hitting you, and you just W flash and deal over 1,000 true damage with no counterplay effectively. Like, you need to preemptively flash Sett's W, which is not something you want to do. But this is mainly the goal, right? It's getting this huge haymaker out in the late game stages, and then the early skirmishes, just find someone and punch him.
I have to say, you are so enthusiastic talking about this champion. How does he score on like the Whippo scale of top laners you like playing?
I love him. He's my most played champion by far. I've had a lot of success in solo queue. I love playing him. I'm not sure about his competitive viability yet. There's a nerf coming. I don't know what it entails yet. So whether or not he'll be viable later on is something that I don't know. But I think the champion has a lot of potential. I think he's a really cool champion. I feel like he's a champion with lots of counterplay, which is I personally enjoy. I enjoy when I feel rewarded for playing well. You know, not like a Kali. You know, the counterplay is very limited there. I feel like as this champion, when you mess up, you mess up, and then that's something that feels rewarding to play, because when you don't, you actually feel like you've accomplished something.
Yeah, absolutely. I loved it. I loved everything about your explanation. I feel like I can go in and just, win, but that's probably not going to be the case.
Just punch some people. Just punch them.
Wait, but now we have to take it a step further.
Yeah.
When you have Sett, how's the Soraka top lane match?
Oh, yeah.
I don't think it's that bad. I think
Really?
Anti-healing is very good. Like, again, Sett as a champion, he can just run at you, right? Like, that's the whole point. You just run at the guy. Your health regen is extremely high thanks to your passive. You've got Dorian Shield. If you want to, you can spec into Second Wind. And Soraka can actually harass you out of the lane. Like I said, it's very hard to break this champ. Like, the Ornn matchup, eventually Ornn will break. It takes a while. We saw it today, the Soraka Ornn matchup. And ultimately, I don't think Kabashar did that poorly in the lane. Like, he was down a couple of CS in the early game. But, when you hit 6, you're down to 5 top lane, right? So I think you can just power farm up and just be a beast, like be the boss.
Talking about being a beast and being the boss, there was a quite interesting tweet that was sent in by someone you hold very dearly, at Adorable Carry. What do you think of this?
Looks pretty good, I guess.
Yeah?
It follows the trend of me and my Photoshop.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I heard
But
that
will that
Selfmade is also
inspire
quite
you to
thorough.
bring the mustache
Oh, the
back?
mustache.
I don't think so. Funnily enough, she doesn't like it, so I don't know why she's bringing it up. I don't know why she's posting on the
Nice
mustache.
strat there, Adorable Carry. But so I heard that Selfmade, or I've seen that Selfmade is pretty good with the Photoshop, or I don't know, whatever program he does it in.
He's asking Pete. Our content guy is carrying him in the meme department, but Healy's getting his fair share of memes.
Yeah, you guys should check out Fnatic social accounts and Selfmade as well. He's been editing a lot of Hilly, apparently after Fashion Week. Also, it's hilarious. Have you seen any of them?
No, I haven't.
Okay, well then let's
It's
move
pretty
on.
good.
Yeah, good stuff. I do want to talk about Fnatic just a little bit more now that we have you. You've been such an integral part of the team for quite a while now. We were thinking about how Selfmade could change kind of the DNA of Fnatic, and we have seen in the first 3 games that there's a lot of play towards bot still. How do you feel about that as a team and you personally? And do you think there is the ability with Selfmade now on the team to diversify Fnatic's toolbox going forward?
I feel like it's just the most comfortable. Like,
Yeah.
you know, when Martin's good in the game, there's no one that's complaining. You know, like everyone's like, you know, I've never. Let me put it this way: when Martin is good in the game, I've never been like, is late game going to be all right? I know it will be. You know, I just have to do my role. I don't have to run it down. Just make sure I'm good in the game, and that's fine. But obviously, from Martin's perspective, I'm sure he enjoys when his top player is doing very well and taking over the game too, right?
Yeah.
So, in general, I feel like communication is solid. We're all talking about what's necessary, and the biggest thing that's different is that I think we just feel more comfortable playing like a multi-threat composition. You know, like on stage, I feel like in 2019 and with Broxy, it was just when the game was good, like comfortable, the game was good. Whereas now we're happier playing like you know, a carry jungle, carry top, carry mid, AD carry composition. Just like everyone just goes balls to the wall
Yeah,
basically,
go ahead
and just
say it.
everyone goes in. But I mean, it's pretty similar. Like comparing Broxa and Selfmade so far, it's been pretty similar towards stage. I think that the communication between the players has gotten a lot better, mid jungle especially.
Yeah.
So that was obviously a
They know each other,
big
yeah.
deal. Yeah. That was definitely a big difference between the
One of the
the
things
swaps so
that
far.
I noticed is that you seem to overall just be like very crisper and cleaner in your decision making. Like I don't know if it was the Selfmade change or if it was just
Yeah.
Fnatic coming into this year. It may have even been Mithy as well, but you guys all
Right.
seem like a lot more on the same page. And in the past, you know, like Sharks mentioned that a lot of focus seems to have gone bot lane recently, but
Yeah.
I felt like, especially if we look at the last game and how the early jungle pathing went out, it was almost like you were forced to not have jungle support because like he lost his red buff, like Gilius was topside, like you're in a
Sure.
situation where you had to play. And to me, it just feels like that the team is way more reactive than what you were in the past. And if something goes wrong, you're quick to change and you seem to be a little bit more flexible.
I think the biggest reason why we look a bit more crisp and proactive is because Selfmade's very aggressive in the sense he's suggesting a lot of plays fast. You know, like you want to go for another gank? Like for example, the re-gank we did on Senna when she had no flash level 3, that was Selfmade. He's like, you know, like I can go, and everyone's like, yeah, let's go. Like, everyone's like, maybe. And then he's like, no, go, you know, and then we go for it, you know. And I feel like when he wants to make a play, he does it, and if you don't follow, then it's your fault you didn't follow, you know? Whereas, you know, it's hard to call him off of a play, which is why people feel more inclined to follow. And I think that can be a bad thing, but it's so far been a
But
good
it also
thing.
builds that trust, right? And like if you
For sure. Like right now, like whenever we inted in scrims or whatever, it's like he's just going with Hilly, you know? Like he's going with me, he's going with Hilly. Someone makes an int call, we're both inting, and after it we're saying at least we inted together, and we're like hell yeah, you know, like high five, boom, hell yeah, we
I do
inted
have
together.
to say, I was a bit afraid for you guys when I heard the change, just because even when SK, you know, you saw that Selfmade really is the catalyst and was the catalyst to almost everything that team did. You can be a coin flip sometimes, you know, sometimes you go in and you actually want to make the play. Hilly has those moments as well. And even though they're becoming far and further in between, I was a bit afraid that, okay, if everyone is going, the term you used earlier, all the time, then we'll see. But I think it's something we have to track because for now it just feels like a very refreshed Fnatic that is very, very fun to
Sure. I
watch.
mean, I think it'll be a lot different when the teams that we're playing against can match us a bit more in
Yeah.
talent. I don't mean to offend anyone by saying that, but I think on paper we look pretty good. We look pretty stacked in the LEC, and in a game like this, I feel like individually everybody outperformed the Schalke players. It was just a good game from everyone, and it's not to say that they can't have a good game. It's just, honestly, like this game from top to bottom, especially like where we got ahead, we outplayed them a lot. It's just, I feel like I can say that our whole team played really well in both the Misfits and the Schalke game. Not so much for the Origin game.
Hey, whatever.
That was mostly on me, but
There you go. I mean, you don't
Yeah.
have to win everything. You can drop. You can evolve. So tomorrow we've got a couple of big matchups, including G2 versus Origin, and that is, in fact, our match of the week. They're undefeated. Can I get a cheeky prediction?
I think G2 will win. I think right now Origin's getting away with like some really good drafts, mostly by blunders from the enemy team.
I agree.
Like, we blundered for sure. Like we, not only this one pick before that, there
Did
were
you
a few
see G2's
blunders.
draft today?
I mean, I saw glimpses of it. but either way, I feel like it depends on which side, of course. Like side selection and whatnot makes a difference. But I think that they got away with some really good drafts, which is obviously thanks to good prep, but also blunders. So as long as G2 have like a solid draft, it doesn't even have to be 5-5, something they're comfortable on, something they're happy playing, I think they're going to be able to punish Origin for stalling so long. Because that's the thing, G2 is a creative team. They will punish you if you try to do the, we take 0 Drakes for 3, and then we're going to try and stack 4 Drakes later on. You know, like you're just basically taking Dragons later. This is something we saw them do against Rogue.
They've done it in every game now, to be fair.
Exactly. So this type of stuff is like, they will be creative enough to punish you somehow. And
they will find a way.
Exactly. And whether or not that will turn out into a G2 win or Origin win, if it even gets to the point where Origin get to stall to the late game, I think for sure they can. They're strong enough with their lineup. OG looks really good. Just, I'm going to have to give it to G2 because I feel like slow teams get punished very hard by them. You need to be very aggressive in the early game.
Let's see if OG can do it. You are up versus SK Gaming tomorrow. That's a nice little match for Selfmade. I think he'll definitely be playing his heart out for that. But with that, we are going to sign off, but not before thanking everyone. The LEC will, of course, be back tomorrow. So we're going to let Whippo go because I need to think up his strats to beat SK Gaming tomorrow. And that's all from us here tonight. If you want to watch more LEC, you can catch our rebroadcast right after LCS Academy Rush. We'll see you tomorrow for more action on the Rift. Have a great night.